All right, family. Peace, love, and law. Appreciate everybody being here today. Welcome to the March National Public Peace Public Law class. Today is July 6th, and we're getting started on a good time, 6:11. We get thanks for everybody time for you being here. There's a purpose for you being here. If you are on this journey, understand that this journey takes the righteousness within yourself. You're not going to get anywhere uh, on this journey of learning law because law requires righteousness of men and women. And for us to always be in full honesty and in equity at all times. So just know that if you hear, you always got to start with yourself and the cleansing of your heart, your mind, body, spirit, in order to fully being able to understand who you are, where you're going, etc. Well, we're gonna help you with that today. The first thing we're gonna start you guys off with, and if you know me, you ever been in one of my classes set up before, I always start off with Bible, and we're gonna actually be coming from Genesis, the first chapter, 26th verse, so we can let you know who you are first and foremost. All right, so you got all different kind of versions. No matter which one you choose to look at it, that's pertaining to you. I'm old school. I'm a King James Bible. Yes, I know King James Bible has been tempered, etc. Whatever, but the truth never changes. The truth always stands. And if you have great discernment, then you will always know the truth. Okay, so Genesis 1:26 states that God said, "Let us make man in our image, according to our likeness. Let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, and over the cattle, over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth." Okay, so first thing you have to know that God created you, not a state. God created you in the image and likeness. Okay, and you have dominion. Dominion is basically means to have control, means to have rulership over, etc. Right? And it's also made you pretty much upkeepers of the land and to fully obey the law of the land. All right. So God also said in the Bible, it also speaks of this, Romans 13 chapter. So since we know we are created by God, in Genesis 2, it speaks in where you were formed, where you were basically formed by the dust, from the dust of the earth, the clay, and breathe the breath of life into you. Okay, so Romans 13, 1 through 7, submissions to authorities. Okay, this is pretty much in the English standard. I'm going to read it in. You can read it in the King James or whatever standard you choose to. Pretty much going to say the same thing. It said, "Let every person be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except from God." And really, the reason why I like to read King James version is, I'm gonna show you why. So just let me wait and bring that up first. It'll make more, because I like when it says man. It don't really too much speak on persons. We say person now because of how we speak, but persons carry a lot of different terminology, etc. So God said, let every soul be subject unto the higher powers. For there is no power but of God. So all power, all law, all authority that has been set on this earth is of God, is from God. The powers that be are ordained of God. Whosoever therefore resisteth the power, resisteth the ordinance of God. And they that resist shall receive to themselves damnation. Okay? It says, "For rulers are not a terror to good works, but to the evil. Wilt thou then not be afraid of the power? Do that which is good, and that thou shalt have praise of the same. For he is the minister of God to thee for good. But if thou do that which is evil, be afraid. For he beareth not the sword in vain, for he is the minister of God, a revenger to execute wrath upon him that doeth evil. Wherefore ye must needs be subject, not only for wrath, but also for conscience sake. For this cause pay ye tribute also, for they are God's ministers, attending continually upon this very thing. Render therefore to all their duties tribute to whom tribute is due, custom to whom custom, fear to whom fear, and honor to whom honor. All right, so it's letting you know that every soul is going to be subject to some form of government, some form of authority. All right, and God has basically made it to where, if you go back to where God was saying, basically, render unto Caesar what Caesar, chooses then who you're going to serve. So basically, are you going to serve God, or are you serving the laws of the state, which is where private law and general law is going to come into. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to basically learn some definitions to put us in the realm where we need to be at. But give it a second and let it show up on y'all screen. Y'all should be able to see it by now. Everybody can see the definitions on their screen? Anybody? If you can't, give it a second, it'll come. If you can, just let me know, and I'll keep going.
I can see him, bro.
All right, bet. We'll keep it pushing. All right, so Black Law Dictionary, 4th edition, says people is a state. Okay? It says the people is a state. The people, keep that in mind. People is a state. As the people of the state of New York, a nation in its collective and political capacity. So, collective meaning the masses of people, political capacity meaning the people who are sitting in the offices and governments and stuff like that, right? All right, the aggregate or mass of the individuals who constitutes. God, hold on, just a second. Make sure y'all got y'all mics muted. I don't want to interrupt nobody. But man, can y'all still see the screen? I think I might have knocked it off.
No, it's on there.
All right. Okay. But like I was saying, the aggregate or mass of the individuals who constitute the state. So basically, the mass of individual who constitutes the state is the people. All right. Nation, also a people. So nation is a people, and people is a state. Right? So, or aggregation of men. Aggregation of men existed in the form of an organized civil society. Gotta get y'all muted. Hey, DeAndre, it's the white. The white, you gotta mute out, bro. I done muted you twice. I think your phone keep jumping on. All right, so what was it? So a nation is a people, people is a state, and he still keep coming in. Then we're gonna have to exit you out, bro. You come back in a minute. A nation or people aggregation of men existing in the form of an organized jural society. All right. Jural meaning you have judicial to adjudicate, etc. Usually inhabiting a distinct portion of the earth, speaking the same language, using the same customs. Now this makes a difference. Using same customs, possessing historic continuity, and distinguished from other like groups by their racial origin and characteristics, and generally, but not necessarily, living under the same government, and sovereignty. So that means that don't necessarily you can be a nation of people, but not necessarily living under the same government and sovereignty. Now, a lot of people would consider themselves as now we either Moors, Hebrews, some form of that nation. Some people even strictly just claim, Native American names, etc. But that's tying you to a nation of people, and that people holds a certain custom. Okay, if you Moors deals with the Islamic code. The Islamic code basically is the only thing that could judge a Moor, which brings us into the religious avenue, which is why it says customs. Okay, so customs meaning when you're dealing with Moorish National Republic of Peace, as we are, our customs is the Constitution for Moorish National Republic of Peace. Okay, and the people of Moorish National Republic of Peace, we are a nation. However, we are a private nation. Okay, meaning by private law. So, meaning by private law. Meaning by private law. So, by private law, automatically, that means that basically the relationships between the nationals and citizens, the compact that they may form together, meaning your churches, mosques, and for others, Moorish Science Temple of America is considered your private law. All right, we're gonna get a little bit more depth into that as well. So, this brings us to the fact that in American constitutional law, the word state is applied to several members of the American Union, while the word nation is applied to the whole body of people embraced within the jurisdiction of the federal government. So the people is the government. I keep telling y'all that. And the people is actually what stands on the constitutions. Then you have the state, which stands under the Constitution. Okay? And they are all citizens. Any creature that's created in the state is automatically a citizen. So national means pertaining or relating to a nation. So that means you are national of a nation as a whole, commonly applied American law to institutions, laws, or affairs of the United States or its government, as opposed to those of the several states. The term national is used in phrase national of the United States is broader than the term citizen. So as people, we just discovered two things. People, you are the state. State is automatically a country, if you don't know. So you are the state, and as a nation, you are the people. So as a national, you are the people, okay, of a state, which is what group of people do you belong to? So anybody that belongs to Moorish National Republic of Peace automatically is a national, okay, and you are a citizen of Moorish National Republic of Peace because you took an oath and bond. You naturalized yourself into becoming following the public laws, which is your religious law, your private law. Okay, if you don't have that, then you will be governed by the statutes and codes. Is my point. You got to have that. You got to have some form of creed, some form of if you took the Declaration of Trust class, etc. Religion means the terms implied in the deed of trust. So a creed is a trust, constitutions builds trust, any forms of trust. You have to be informed and directing a form of law to show a form of sovereignty over property, which has to do a lot with your status. All right, so now we all as people are considered nationals of the United States. You are not citizens. You can't be a citizen because who created you? God created you. That's the first thing we know, right? So if the state didn't create you, then they can't make you a citizen. And the only way you can become a citizen is because you are basically a foreigner being naturalized. You are alien being naturalized into a form of state. Okay? That can't happen with us. And we're going to get to the further reason why. Natural law. What's natural law? The expression natural law or just natural was largely used in the philosophical speculations of the Roman jurists of the Antonine age and was intended to denote a system of rules and principles for the guidance of human conduct, which independently of enacted law or of the system peculiar to any people might be discovered by rational intelligence of man and would be found to grow out of and conform to his nature, meaning by that word his whole mental, moral, and physical constitution. The point of departure for this conception was to the Stoic doctrine of life ordered according to nature, which in its turn rested upon purely suspicious existence in primitive times of a state of nature. That is a condition of society in which men universally were governed solely by a rational and consistent obedience of the needs, impulses, and promotings of their true nature, and such nature being as yet undefaced by dishonesty, falsehood, or indulgence of the base passion. And that's in Maine, ancient law, fide, etc. That's real. You can look this up in the Black Law Dictionary. All right. So now we know what natural law is. Has everything to do with nature. Basically, how can I say, subjugates upon you. The things that we are subjugated to, all people too, in nature. Okay. The law of the land. Now this definitely needs to be known when you speak of the law of the land. Who we talking about? Okay, and the law of the land also has a lot to do with your religion as well, and also the general law, which means the country, the law of that country. All right, so law of the land is due process of law. By the law of the land is most clearly intended the general law meaning the Constitution or whatever state you is, meaning that it fully governs all groups of people, no matter who, what, when, and where they are. It's no favoritism in it, is what I'm saying. So general law, which hears before it condemns, which proceeds upon inquiry and renders judgment only after trial. The meaning is that every citizen shall hold his life, liberty, property, and immunities under the protection of general rules which govern society. So what governs society then? In the state that you are in? It's the Constitution. Okay? That is the general law amongst all the inhabitants, and all the inhabitants, meaning people, are supposed to be nationals, not citizens. Only corporations are supposed to be citizens of the United States because they are creatures of the state. All right? Everything which may pass under the form of an enactment is not the law of the land. So that means any law that's legislated by the state, it is not the law of the land. So that means the statutes and codes, running stop signs, and they trying to give you a penal sum for it, a penalty for it, etc. All of that is not considered the law of the land. When first used in Magna Carta, the phrase probably meant the established law of the kingdom in opposition to the civil or Roman law. It is now generally regarded as meaning general public laws binding on all members of the community. Well, that first law is absolutely the Constitution of the Republic land in which you are domiciling in. All right? It means due process of law, warranted by the what? Constitution, by the common law, adopted by the Constitution, or by statutes passed in pursuance of the Constitution. It says constitutional law. There is also a classification. So that means your rights is being classified of rights with respect to the Constitution of civil society. Thus, according to the Blackstone, the rights of persons considered in their natural capacities are of two sorts: absolute and relative. Okay, absolute, which are such as appertain and belong to particular, so not everybody, particular men, merely as individuals or single persons, relative means which are incident to them as members of society and standing in various relations to each other. Okay, so we are members of whatever society that you are inhabiting in. You become the people of that country. So if you are in Indiana, you the people of Indiana. If you in Georgia, you the people of Georgia. Okay, and the constitutional right is yours, and you are the beneficiary, and you have the right to enforce the general law because that is the law of the country. Okay, Georgia is a country. That's the law for that country. For all people, I don't care what your religion is, what your creed may be, it still has to be lined up parallel to the general law. And all constitutional laws are written according to international law, which means the law of nature. Okay? So, and it says rights are also classified in constitutional law as natural, civil, and political, to which there is sometimes added the class of personal rights. So, constitutional law is natural, brings the natural person back to the Constitution. Civil has everything to do with us being able to sue corporations to sue each other, or seeking any form of civil remedies from one another due to contracts. All right, and you have political, and when a civil also means enforcing the Constitution, which is a contract. So if anybody breaches the Constitution, then we got the right to get civil remedy. So political rights is absolutely for those who have you got political rights to your, how can I put this? Okay, everybody that's in Moorish National Republic of Peace, or if you belong to some form of tribe, or if you belong to Moorish Sign Symbol of America, then you have political rights to that venue. All right, and you also have a form of political rights to the country that you are in, and you are able to run for, I don't know, governor, et cetera, and all that type of stuff of that actual state or country. But just know that that will make you a Republican and also a former private citizen. I wouldn't do it. Seriously. That it's really supposed to be for certain people because they cannot be nationals of this land. All right. And we'll speak on that later on too. Natural rights are those which grow out of the nature of man and depend upon personality, as distinguished from such as are created by law and depend upon civilized society, or they are those which are plainly assured by natural law, or those which by fair deduction from the present physical, moral, social, and religious. So your natural right has everything to do with your religious characteristics of man. He must be invested with, which he ought to have realized for him in a just society. So, which is the reason why they cannot make or favor any form of religion, because your religion also has to be recognized in the Jural society. So that's why every state protects the freedom of religion, etc., and also the United States Constitution does as well. Okay, they have to, because if they don't know your true nature. They don't know what you're governed by. Okay. So that's why they can't apply those statutes and codes along to you, because you are not governed by those. That's not how you governing your property. That's not how you governing the people within your religious society, etc. Right? I'm gonna read that part one more time for y'all. And it says, fair by deduction from the present physical, moral, social, and religious characteristics of a man, he must be invested with, which he ought to have realized for him in a Jural society, in order to fulfill the ends to which his nature calls him. Such are the rights of life, liberty, and liberty is a broad word. Freedom of conscience, freedom of rights, freedom. It's a very broad word to use in. So Liberty, it goes as far as you want to express it. Privacy and good reputation. Man has the right to protect his name, his reputation. Private law. Private law, as used in contradistinction to public law, the term means all the part of the law which is administered between citizen and citizen. That's why I said church. All right. Or which is concerned with the definition, regulation, and enforcement of rights in cases where both the person on whom the right adheres and the person upon whom the obligation is incident are private individuals. Automatically. So that's like everything that goes on in Moorish National Republic of Peace. The Constitutional Moorish National Republic of Peace is the private law for the people of Moorish National Republic of Peace. The divine and the divine Constitution from Moorish Science Temple of America is the private law for all people in Moorish Science Temple of America. The Constitution, not Constitution. Well, there are constitutions because that's what they are. The constitutions for any form of church of Christ, Baptist church, anything like that, it means the same for them. That's their private law, and they have the right to strictly be judged upon this earth according to it. The general law is just if they harm others outside of their, society. Okay. And the general law constitution literally is specifically for it cannot favor any form of religion or anything like that, specifically because we come from all different walks of life. So what I do in my society might not be considered wrong in my society, even though it's considered wrong in yours. And that's just based upon our religious worship, etc. And really that is the whole thing about what goes on in this world today. People having problems about what somebody should do when it comes to worshiping God. But the truth is, if your religion doesn't cause any harm to anyone or the environment, you see what I'm saying? It causes no harm, does no harm, and is fair and just, then your religion is righteous. If your religion is going out here saying kill people, hurt people, and doing all this because they don't believe in something like you do, then it's not righteous, it's not just, and it will not stand. And the people of that land will destroy you for that simple reason. All right. General law, a law that affects the community at large. So automatically that means the constitutions, the state constitution, and the United States Constitution. Okay. A general law, as contradistinguished from one that is special or local, is a law that embraces a class of subjects or places and does not omit any subject or place naturally belonging to such class. Okay? A law framed in general terms restricted to no locality and operating equally upon all of a group of objects which, having regard to the purpose of the legislation, are distinguished by characteristics sufficiently marked and important to make them a class by themselves, is not a special or lawful law, but a general law. All right. Last but not least, a federal citizen. Federal citizens have the rights and obligations occurring by reason of being a citizen of the United States, state or status of being a citizen of the United States, a person born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof is a citizen of the United States and the state wherein he resides. 14th Amendment, automatic. So a person by the 14th Amendment means corporation. Does not have anything to do with the living people. All right. So when they naturalize you into the United States, that means they create a franchise. They create a form of sex decay trust and franchise birth certificate, and they give you and especially when you alienate it, they create other things from you. So when you're an alien from coming from another country, you come in, you naturalize, you have to get certain things before you even become a citizen. But when you do, they create forms of estate and they give you a social security here as well. And it's for naturalized citizens, aliens, where they can put what country they come from, etc. And I think it's called what is it? SF or F. It's something like that. I have to show it to y'all on another day. All right, so we know what a federal citizen is. We know who the national of these states and the national of the United States is, which is the people. We know what a nation is, okay? And we know what a national is. A national literally can be any other people. Don't matter. All right, now check this out. I'm going to use the Alabama Constitution because that is the republic land that I'm on right now. If anybody else definitely can go to your Constitution, they all mean the same. So, Section 1, equality and rights of men. And we taking the definition of man, meaning the definition that we got from God. That is your freedom of religion and to exercise that. And liberty meaning freedom, which means you have the right to what? Self-identify. That's your liberty. That's your freedom, and that's also your religious belief. So you get to choose how you want to identify. Identify by who created you, God. That all men are equally free and independent. Are you a man, meaning man and woman? That they are endowed by their creator with certain inalienable rights. That amongst these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men, all, first key word, all men. So this don't just say Moors. It don't just say Hebrew Israelites. It don't just say Europeans. It don't just say Chinese. It say all men. So this means all men that is within that is here on the Republic land as inhabitants of Alabama, as the people, okay, are equally free and independent. See this will pull up. Now, Section 2, people is source of power. People also means state. Nation also means people. Now, however, all people here that are inhabitants of Alabama are not all from the same nation. That's why you gotta be careful. All right, because there's all kind of people here from different nations. So we are nationals of a country, meaning your state. That all political power is inherent in the people. It didn't say what kind of people. It didn't say black people. It didn't say white people. It didn't say yellow people. It didn't say the Moorish people. It didn't say the Hebrewish people. It didn't say it didn't give a specific. So therefore, people means all people. And all free governments are founded on their authority. Now, do you not know a church is a government? Any other form of organization, charitable organizations, etc., are also considered governments, and certain forms of corporations are considered governments because they are governed according to the articles and corporations or unincorporated articles of association or whatever the case may be. Constitutions, whatever that you are using, the citizens are coming together, which means you have the right to assemble, and you're coming together and you're creating what you call the private law to govern yourselves. Remember, you have the right to contract, and the state cannot pay the obligations of contract. So if we contract ourselves together to operate according to our private law, then guess who cannot impair it? The state. So don't forget that. All free governments are founded on their authority. So all free governments are founded on the authority of the people and instituted for the benefit of the people. and that therefore they have an all-time inalienable and indefeasible right to change their form of government in such manner as they may deem expedient. So all power is in the people. That means when the state of Alabama is a corporation. So we allow the state of Alabama to act as trustees to govern. Okay? Now I ain't gonna say govern. We allow them to handle and deal with our property, etc., only if they agree to be governed by the Constitution. Then we would allow them to govern us only if they agree, that only by the delegated authority we gave them, which is the constitutions of these lands and the U.S. Constitution. That's it. All right. Section 3 of the Alabama Constitution. These are the main 3 things you need to know, first and foremost. Religious freedom. Now, remember, in order for you to even know who you are, gain your status according to the Constitution and everything like that, even according to your natural right, then they have to recognize your religious characteristics. Freedom of religion. That no religion shall be established by law, meaning they can't favor one. That no preference shall be given by law to any religious sect. Society, denomination, so society, Morris National Republic of Peace is a religious society. Denomination or mode of worship. Okay, they can't make no law for it to govern. All right, and the reason why they don't have to, because if your religious law automatically hurts someone, then they get to what? Use the Constitution against you because you caused harm against the people somewhere. So now they get to bring civil remedy, civil suit, etc. against you. So they don't have to create a law because the general law already exists. They don't got to create one. That no one shall be compelled by law to attend any place of worship, nor to pay any tithes, taxes, or other rate for building or repairing any place of worship, or for maintaining any minister or ministry, that no religious test shall be required as qualification to any office, public trust under this state, and that civil rights, privileges, and capacities of any citizen shall not be in any manner affected by his religious principles. Now, they just scratched the surface right here. So they came and did an amendment. This is Alabama is actually the largest constitution in probably in the world, I think, but I know definitely within America, it is the largest constitution. As you can see, it's been amended up to 620 some times and a little bit more than that. So Amendment 622, Alabama Religious Freedom Amendment. And this came after the Freedom Restoration Act, okay? The Religious Freedom Restoration Act, okay? So you got to understand what it means, how they're protecting your private rights, your private law. Because general law, which is the Constitution, protects your private law. And the only way the government can get into the business of the private law and the private people is if they have a compelling interest. So that means like schools, the colleges. So we all, if all different walks of life, religions of people go to a college, then guess what? They have a compelling interest. So they can't make it specifically just for you to pray and do however you want to do up on that campus, because there's other respecting of other people's. You see what I'm saying? So they have an influence on what's done in that. However, we'll get a little bit deeper. Let me read it to you though. It said this amendment shall be known as, may be cited as the Alabama Religious Freedom Amendment. Section 2, the legislator makes the following findings concerning religious freedom. The framers of the United States Constitution recognize free exercise of religion as an inalienable right secured its protection in the First Amendment to the Constitution, and the framers of the Constitution of Alabama 1901, also recognizing this right, secured the protection of religious freedom in Article 1, Section 3, which we just read. Federal and state laws neutral towards religion may burden religious exercise as surely as laws intended to interfere without religious exercise. Government should not burden religious exercise without compelling justification. Okay? I'm going to give y'all a good reason. We're going to show y'all a reason why they can't. In Employment Division versus Smith, the United States Supreme Court virtually eliminated the requirement that government justify burdens on religion exercise imposed by laws neutral towards religion. The compelling interest test as set forth in prior court ruling is a workable test for striking sensible balances between religious liberty and competing governmental interests. Anytime, and then you got to realize that this state is interested for profit. So you got to realize that in areas ranging from public education, like I told you, ideological interests and religious rights, including recognizing regulations necessary to alleviate interference with the education process versus rights of religious freedom. All right. They got compelling interest in these colleges because these colleges are creatures of the state. You understand what I'm saying? So, to national defense, conscription. So, if it has something to do with national defense, meaning if your damn religion is harming people, they got the right to what? Have compelling interests. You can't do that. It can't cause harm to others, can't cause harm to the society, to the endangerment to the environment or anything like that. Conscription and fastidious objection, including the need to raise army versus right to objective individual participation in others areas of important mutual concern. So this goes into it as well. Congress passed the Religious Freedom Restoration Act, 14 U.S.C. 2000 BB, to establish the compelling interest test set forth in prior federal court's ruling, but the city of Boron versus Flores, the United States Supreme Court held the act unconstitutional, stating that the right to regulate was retained by the states. Section 3, the purpose of the Alabama Religious Freedom Amendment is to guarantee that the freedom of religion, is not burdened by the state and local law, and to provide a claim or defense to person whose religious freedom is burdened by the government, meaning their enactment to pass the laws that is not the law of the land, as we just read, like the legislative laws that they pass, the statutes and code. So it says, if the statutes and code basically goes against the actual constitution or cause any form of burden to your religious freedom, then you can basically move with impunity. Section 4, as used in this amendment, the following words shall have the following meanings: demonstrate, meets the burdens of going forward with the evidence of persuasion. Freedom of religion, the free exercise of religion under Article 1, Section 3 of Constitution, Alabama 1901. Government is any branch, department, agency, instrumentality, and official or other person acting under the color of law. All right. State of Alabama, any political subdivision of the state, municipality, or other local government. Automatically, anybody acting under the color of law is going to cause harm to your religious freedom and your constitutional rights because they are not operating under the oath they took. So remember that. Rule, any government statute cannot burden you. Regulations cannot burden you. Ordinance cannot burden you. Administrative provisions cannot burden you. The ruling guideline requirement or any statement of law, whatever. So with that being said, we have to know, we just went through the pandemic and religion was very highly used in order for people to not, get vaccinations, keep their jobs, go to school. I've actually done over like 10 to 15 letters for people, keep their job and being able to graduate from college, and every last one of them was able to, move on with their life. But some people, unfortunately, weren't able to because, they don't exercise their religious freedom. It says government shall not burden a person's freedom of religion, even if the burden results from a rule of general applicability, except as provided in subsection B. Government may burden a person's freedom of religion only if it demonstrates that application of the burden to the person is in furtherance of compelling governmental interests. Like I just said, schools, stuff like that. Is at least restricted means of furthering that compelling governmental interest. A person whose religious freedom has been burdened in violation of this section may assert that violation as a claim or defense in a judicial, administrative, or other proceeding and obtain the appropriate relief against the government. You can do that. This amendment applies to all government rules and implementation thereof, whether statutory or otherwise, whether adopted before or after the effective date of this amendment. Nothing in this amendment shall be construed to authorize any government to burden any religious belief. And we're going to get to how major that is. Nothing in this amendment shall be construed to affect, interpret, or in any way address the portions of the First Amendment of the United States Constitution permitting the free exercise of religion or prohibiting laws respecting the establishment of religion, or those provisions of Article 1, Section 3 of the Constitution of Alabama 1901 regarding the establishment of religion. This amendment shall be liberally construed to the effect of its remedial and deterrent purposes. If any provision of this amendment or its application to any particular person or circumstance is herein valid, that provision or its application is severable and does not affect the validity or other provision or application of this amendment. Why? Because they know that they can be at fault according to religious beliefs. So now here go the great part. Go to the great part. How to argue court cases by using constitutional law and Supreme Court cases. After this, we're going to get ready to wrap this up and take some questions. So I hope y'all ready to ask some questions or give your piece on the matter as well. So first thing you need to do is you always got to know what constitutional right is being violated. You're the national. So if you're a national, you are the people. Then guess what? You are the sovereignty of the state. That means you are the enforcer of the state. That means you have the right to enforce the statutes, the constitutional law up on public servants. They don't govern you, you govern them. You have to change the narrative and know that. You govern the government because they are the one who took an oath and agreed to be governed. Okay? They are the ones who took the oath to and agreed to be governed according. Now you have to realize the constitutions are express trusts. They are not really implied trusts, but they are express trusts. Now, the statutory codes are what you call constructive implied trust in operation by law. That's how they create citizens by residence or by saying that you are in their territory by presumptions. So if you don't correct those presumptions, they will use Lex Fori law and bring you into their jurisdiction and make a claim and basically saying that you are a vessel without a nationality, and they have the right to make that claim. So the first thing, like I said, is to know the constitutional right is being violated. All constitutions are contracts and being able to enforce. You have the right to express. So to express it just means to go in there and say, hey, I'm one of the people. Because they didn't never say who the people were, what the people looked like, or anything like that, right? So if they didn't, then all you got to do is go express it. Whoever expressed it is considered the. So what constitutional law is being violated? First Amendment free situation is the right to travel. So we'll just use that in sense. First Amendment free rights, freedom of religion, and the exercise thereof, because all of our rights comes from Allah first, comes from God. All right. And God is the one who gave you your rights because God is the one that gave you dominion, which means you're right. They are inalienable, indefeasible. All right. The people of Moorish National Republic of Peace, religious duty, according to the Right to Travel Act, we voted on enforced on May 15, 2022 by the Board of Directors of Moorish National Republic of Peace. So this, guys, is our private law, which is protected by the general law, Constitution, the state constitutional law, and the U.S. Constitution. All right. Section 1A2, it is, and this comes from the Right to Travel Act for Moorish National Republic of Peace. It says it is a religious act. All right. So it is an act, a religious act for the people of Moorish National Republic of Peace to register, or it's really supposed to say convey, but convey all vessels, automobiles, vehicles, cars, boats, motor coach, all transportation to Moorish National Republic of Peace, and carry all identifications of Moorish National Republic of Peace when traveling in vessels. That's what they need to say too. I don't want to use the word operating. We'll say traveling. But actually, I'm gonna tell y'all something. We can use anywhere we want to as long as we specify what definition means according to what we're saying or within that. And that's the thing about contracts. Definitions words can have different meanings according to the people or the society that's involved, and that's, how they chose for it to mean. Okay, so, and we saying, as it states in Luke, still using religion, 20th chapter, 25th, and he said to them, then render to Caesar the things that are Caesar, and to God the things that are God. Moorish National Republic of Peace is the kingdom ordained on earth by our God, Allah, for the people of Moorish National Republic of Peace, to show our honor and loyalty to God. It is our religious duty to give all things to God through the kingdom of Moorish National Republic of Peace. So now, the right that's violated is liberty. It's your freedom to move unencumbered upon the earth. Why? How can you prove you got liberty over the earth? Because somebody gave you dominion. God gave you dominion over the earth. That means you have a form of liberty to move, and that you are not subject to anyone or anything on the earth. The only thing you are subject to is God and the laws that God has laid out for you. So therefore, nobody should be encumbering your movement up on the earth in no shape, form, or fashion. The law does not permit for it to be that way. All right, so now we have to back it up. We're going to back it up by what we talk. Murdoch versus Pennsylvania. No state could convert a secured liberty, meaning a substantial right, meaning substance, spirit, okay, into a privilege and issue a license and fee for it. So how they going to turn a right that God given you and then turn it into a privilege and a license and fee for it? So now you have to learn how to go by first come, first serve, first time immemorial, etc. So God law comes first before the states. God existed before the United States. God existed before American jurisprudence. Okay? The state cannot take our First Amendment right, which is our God-given right to travel the earth unencumbered. The right is ours to keep or to waive. And we, the people of Moorish National Republic of Peace, claim all God-given rights. The state of, whatever state that my people are in, cannot convert a secure liberty into a privilege and issue a license and fee for it. And that's according to Murdoch versus Pennsylvania. That's already been decided. Shuttleworth versus Birmingham says this: if the state does convert your right into a privilege and charge a license and a fee for it, you can ignore the license and fee and engage in the right with impunity because it's null and void. It is our right to fulfill our religious duty and exercise our beneficial rights to the U.S. Constitution, First Amendment, freedom of religion, and the exercise thereof. In doing so, we, the people of Moorish National Republic of Peace, will engage in our rights with impunity and ignore your license and fees, which burdens, you got to make sure it burdens the people from exercising their religious duties and violating our substantial rights. Now, why would this violate us? Why would this burden us? Because what did our religious act just say we were supposed to do? We have to convey our stuff to Moorish National Republic of Peace, and we have to carry our form of identifications, etc. Now, if we are not causing any harm or any danger to anybody else by doing this, okay, we didn't hurt the living people of the inhabitants of that state or America abroad. We're not stealing from anybody's trust or any form of that nature. So therefore, it holds no substance. And they are violating our right because just like we said up here, it is a religious act for the people of Moorish National Republic of Peace to register all vessels to Moorish National Republic of Peace and carry out identifications of Moorish National Republic of Peace for traveling vessels of Moorish National Republic of Peace. So automatically, that is our religious act. And if they try to refrain us from doing it, make us get licensed, etc., then that burdens us. Boyd versus the United States, the court is to protect against any encroachment of constitutionally secure liberties. It's their duty. They have no choice, and they have to do it. The court is to protect against any encroachment of constitutionally secure liberties. And why? Because they took an oath to uphold the United States Constitution and whatever state that they are in to uphold the Republic Constitution of that state as well. All right. So basically, if they can't, really show anything of this, and then they also have to prove what they call willful intent. So, and they can't prove that because all you got to do is say, all right, I was exercising my First Amendment right. So by me exercising my First Amendment right, how is that willful intent to obey the laws of the state if I was only following the law of the constitutional law, okay, my constitutional rights? All right, so what that means is we have a conflict of interest, and automatically the Constitution supersedes statutes and codes. Automatic. One more thing right quick. Because they know. Next thing you need to know, it's all in your constitutional rights. Section 13, courts to be open, remedies for all injuries, impartially of justice. So it says all courts shall be open, and that every person for any injury done him in his lands, goods, person, or reputation shall have a remedy due by due process of law, and right and justice shall be administered without sale, denial, or delay. So the people ain't supposed to be paying for nothing in them courts. Everything that you go do is supposed to be without sale. But since they think you are corporations and acting under as corporations, and as residents and the aliens of this land and stuff, then they tax you. They think you are not the people. So how we do that? And after this will be it right here. How do you go into courts? Pretty much notice the agent, notice the principal, notice the agent, notice the agent, notice the principal. So you basically giving them a warning. Alabama constitutional warning, and you let them know, as the people of Alabama, invoke the Alabama Constitution 1901, sections 1 through 36. So say that about whatever state you in. I accept all oaths of all officers of the court of the United States Constitution and Alabama Constitution as described above. As the people of Alabama, I invoke Article 1, Section 13 of the Alabama Constitution, that all courts shall be open and that every person for any injury done him in his land, good person, or reputation shall have a remedy by due process of the law, and right and justice shall be administered without sale. And that literally means what it means. Or denial or delay. The U.S. Supreme Court has ruled that a natural individual entitled to relief is entitled to free access to the natural people, judicial tribunals, and public offices in every state of the Union. So with that being said, the natural people, meaning the people, and the people is the nation. Well, nation is people, and the people is the state. And that means you definitely have the right, which means you have a form of sovereignty. You are not corporations. Corporations must be taxing everything for everything that goes on within the United States and the Union States. All right? That's the reason why you're being taxed, because they think you filing as the persons and not actual the people. Okay? Anytime you go do a civil suit in your name only, like if you go do a civil suit and it says, like for myself, I go do a civil suit and it say Eric Jamar Ingram, guess what? I just went in as a franchise corporation. Now, if I go and do a suit as the people of Alabama, and then the name, put my, the person, one of the people of Alabama, and then you add the state to it, then guess what? You ain't got to pay shit. Now they know who you is. It's a difference. It's a difference. I'll kind of give y'all an idea right quick. All right. What I was trying to show y'all. Yeah, I might show y'all next time. I don't want to wait. But anybody got any questions at this time? The floor is now open. You can definitely ask your questions. You got to unmute your mic. So if anybody got any questions at this time, got anything they want to say at this time, now is the time to do so. Ain't nobody got nothing to say.
I actually got something I want to say. I do. I got something to say.
Go ahead.
I'm currently dealing with a situation right now. That's dealing with I had joined the tribe or whatever, and I got stopped. And they tried to say that I gave them false information. So they're actually trying to charge me with failure to identify, giving false information. Because they said I was speeding, so they stopped me, and I just gave them all my tribal information. And they went and tried to pull it up in the system. It was like, oh, you're not coming up in the system if you don't give us your driver's license, this, that, and the third, and we're gonna lock you up for failure to identify. Which I know there is no law called failure to identify, but of course you can't argue that with them. So some of the things you was just saying, well, pretty much all the things you was just saying, you know, is dealing with what I'm dealing with right now, as far as the case. So I was wondering.
So what's your answer question?
So the question is like, how should I pursue that? Should I write it? Because I sent them an affidavit, you know, registered mail, and all that. You know, they never responded to none of that. So I was gonna ask, what should be the next step that I do to try to deal with this situation? Because I got like a couple of weeks before this court date.
Well, first and foremost, everything gonna start off with the fact that you have to know your rights when you first even go to court. What is your rights when everything even starts? All right, they try to get you to plea and all that, but the first thing you got the right to do is challenge jurisdiction and the delegation of authority. All right, so if you challenge jurisdiction and they don't show proof of jurisdiction, then they just violated you due process of law. It's chess. So they made the first move saying what they said. They moved the pawn. Now you got to move a pawn. So your pawn should be challenging the jurisdiction based on delegation of authority. Okay? Meaning you want to know what capacity is they operating in. Do they got their oath and bond present? If they start moving in statutes and codes, then you got to ask, are you operating in your official capacity, meaning according to the Constitution, or are you operating in the private capacity? Meaning you don't got no immunity to the Constitution, and they operate under statutes and codes, so they don't got no immunity. They operate in private capacity, they thieve, they make money, etc. See what I'm saying? They do it. They're going against the people. So that's your move. That's your first move. And also, since there's a admiralty court, a court of commerce, you got the right to what? To the securities, because they got your person, not you in court. They got your person in court. You just there in representation as the executor, surety, beneficiary. Anytime you bring those three titles together, they ask in trouble. Automatically. Executor, surety, and beneficiary. You're the executor of the estate because it's inter vivos, it's in the living trust, and you live it. You're the beneficiary of it because what? You're the one that's, as the people, receiving all benefits. And you're the surety of it because you're the creditor. You're the one credit everything for it. So once all three of them meet together, then guess what? Because your person is your principal, it's the debtor. The creditor and debtor meets, once they meet, they become one, all debt is discharged. So you got a right to subrogation. Automatically.
And it's crazy because I
then
sent them a
everybody say, well,
segregation. I sent them that.
Okay, so now you got to realize your rights was violated. So what do you do when your rights violated? It just told you, seek civil remedy to address the grievances from the government. What's your civil remedy? All right. Well, the remedies of the people has to be brought by the people and with the people. You can't come by yourself. So that means a quo warranto has to deal with the people. A declaratory relief has to deal with the people. An injunction has to deal with the people. Habeas corpus has to deal with the people. You see where I'm coming from?
Wow.
So you got to seek civil remedy. Now, you can see what I'm doing right here. I'm showing you what I did. I went to court. The judge denied me my right to subrogation, and the judge also, when I challenged jurisdiction, didn't show proof of jurisdiction. So every civil remedy's got a certain way to bring it according to that state, because the state has the right to sovereignty. And basically, they have the right to dictate how procedures, etc., it needs to be brought within that state. So in Alabama, you have to bring it as a relator amongst the people and you have to bring it in the name of the state. If you don't, then you're not a party of the people. So as you can see right here, and it has to be done in the circuit court or the county, or whichever the city, municipal, or wherever the person is, wherever they, their oath is being held at the county anyway, which is court of record. So one of the people of Alabama on the land, on the Republic land of Alabama, in Moorish National Republic of Peace. So that's general law, national. I'm a national because I'm a people. You see what I'm saying? I'm the state because I'm the people. I'm the republic because I'm the people, and I'm on the land because I'm the people. And I'm in Moorish National Republic of Peace because that's where my citizenship is, my private citizenship. All right? So that now we brought God into the situation as well. I'm a relator, meaning I'm an informant. I'm giving information about what's going on and protecting the people's rights. Information from relator on behalf of the people of Alabama seeking writ of quo warranto. The relator, one of the people of Alabama, who is a national of Moorish National Republic of Peace, a de jure religious government in the territory of the Republic of Alabama on behalf of the people of Alabama, being clearly and expressly designated beneficiary, as are all the people of Alabama acknowledged in the preamble of Alabama Constitution. Do notice all that were in Article 1, Section 1 through 36 of the same. Certain rights are expressed. All unexpressed rights are hereby claimed. None of whatsoever nature are waived. Do bring forth the following information. The respondent, Chad E. Coker, a judge, public officer for the state of Alabama, at all times here pretending holds the public office. So what I'm saying is, bro, as soon as I went in there and he violated me, I came and did this next day because I got the right to seek civil remedy for the people. So the relator, people so recognized by the preamble of to the Alabama Constitution, rights affirmed the same that are long antecedent to the organization of the state. Pursuant to the following jurisdiction, this court is invoked. Know by all men presents a living man, as described in Genesis 1, 26, 28. I'm self-identifying myself according to high God. Known as Ingram Bay, Eric Jamar, as one of the people of Alabama in Moorish National Republic of Peace upon the territory Republic land of Alabama. I am the executor, guardian, beneficiary, surety of the estate. And I'm bringing in base of the suit. All right. I'm going to get down here to what he did so you can understand. Whereas Chad D. Coker is acting in his private capacity as a licensed attorney, as a public servant, practicing law on the bench, and to deprive me of my deserve, Chad D. Coker denied me my right of subrogation, my right to challenge jurisdiction. Chad D. Coker refused to show proof of jurisdiction, violated due process of law, and set the trial date for August 22nd, 2022, which means he is operating in a private capacity and loses all immunities of the Constitution, which is against 18 U.S.C. Code 242, deprivation of rights under color of law. Chad D. Coker is using the legislative codes. And remember, we read earlier today that the enactments of the state is not the law of the land. So using legislative codes of the state of Alabama removes him from any immunities of the Constitution. Chad D. Coker coerced me under duress to take it to trial, even though I said I am here as a demurrer, which means an obligation of your delegation of authority. Chad D. Coker violated and deprived me of my U.S. constitutional right, my God-given rights according to the U.S. Constitution, First Amendment, freedom of religion, and the exercise thereof, and Alabama Constitution, Article 1, Section 3, Amendment 622. As stated above, show your proof of claim in which legislative act gives you authority over my deserve. Jurisdiction was challenged at the hearing, June 13th, 2022 at 8 a.m. Carver County District Court. And those are the case numbers. Now, he got a fiduciary duty. As stipulated In the Alabama Constitution, 1901, Article 1, Section 2, the relator is a beneficiary who have placed their trust in the people at large, and those elected by district. All such people have sworn an oath. As the beneficiary of Alabama Constitution 1901, I hereby recognize, acknowledge, accept, Judge Chad D. Kobe, your oath of office, a voluntary act as manifestation of your will to uphold, maintain, and adhere to all restrictions on governmental power in accordance with constitutions of the United States of America and the Republic of Alabama. Thus holding the office of culinary into an express contract is express. That means the people, no matter who you are, have to come up and express the contract. So, bro, you have to express the Constitution. You have to use the civil remedies of the people to get what you're asking for. So you got to follow that. That's what I'm saying. Let's get down a little bit. A public office is the right, authority, and duty created by law, by which, for a given period, either fixed by law or ending at the pleasure of the creative power, and an individual is invested with some portion of the sovereign functions of the government to be exercised by him for the benefit of the public. And recognizing the Alabama Constitution adopted by the people is a supreme and paramount law, it is therefore the people's restriction upon the powers granted to the officers and employees of Alabama. Hence, Republic of Alabama and for the benefit of the people, and that people of which later are among stand upon the Constitution, and the officers and employees of Alabama stand under the Constitution. With the aforementioned having been said that the state can do no wrong, and therefore the officers and employees of Alabama cannot commit, nor shall they condone any wrong toward the people who created the Republic of Alabama. So who created the Republic? People. Justice, therefore, cannot exist when foreign, which includes but is not limited to labeling of communication rules, regulation, or semantics of whatsoever nature are allowed to exist over substance. Now you finna see the power. In State versus Manley, there is a difference between the power of the legislature to enact statutes and the power to change the Constitution. They can't do it. Their statutory matters does not create an office. Their statutory matters does not amend the Constitution, or what the Quo Warranto is. In due consideration that the origin of the writ of Quo Warranto may be traced to a very early date in the history of common law, where the King Earthly, by right, could issue the order, and Alabama's adoption of the common law of England to writ a Quo Warranto is a common law remedy, whereas the jurisdictional authority, as of April 18, 1775, was understood to be the creator, King Earthly, government, and the people, and whereas John J. Riley understood that the Revolution, April 19, 1775, the first published document of the American people, July 4, 1776, codified their act. The sovereignty devolved on the people. The organic laws of the United States of America and the Republic of Alabama, concurring with particular emphasis on Article 1, Section 2 of Alabama Constitution, understand the arraignment of jurisdictional authority to be the creator, God, which is first, the people. So jurisdiction goes from God, people, the state, and throughout the Articles of Confederation, a compact. Therefore, the relator, standing on the second rung from the top of the jurisdictional ladder, moved this court to issue a writ and stipulation that nothing of value in support of the position taken by Judge Chad D. Kober and the legislator be removed from the people's purse. Okay. Additionally, that all costs associated with relators' endeavors to bring forth the information be paid out of Judge, supposed to say, Coker. Exhibit A for related costs. All right. Now, As you just seen, we just said it had to come out her pocket. The price has to come out her pocket. And this is the price. For all time and energy spent appearing in Carver County District Court and protecting substantial rights that were violated by Chad D. Coker on June 13th, $5,000. Protecting the violations against the property of Eric Jamar Ingle Bay Living Trust being held for Eric Jamar Ingle Estate for the beneficiaries, $2,000. Preparing this pro warranto on behalf of the people of Alabama to protect the rights of the people of Alabama, $1,000. Total compensation of $8,000. And I was being nice. I could have tripled the number if I wanted to. Because they don't know what time frame. And it's the form of inflation, deflation right now. Prices is up. You feel me? I don't want to go through all of this because I really want to say this for another time based on another class and just pretty much show everybody what this does. But automatically, a quo warranto proceeding to try respond is titled to the office of county judge is not a suit against the county or against the judge in his official capacity, but is against him individually, and the county is not responsible to pay respondent's attorneys, even though the county benefit by having the validity of statute adjudicated. So I hope that answer your question, because in basically what we saying is in summarization, the question is, did Chad D. Coker, under the People's Constitution of the Republic, Alabama, 1901, lawfully exercise the authority granted to him, regarding the revision of the People's Organic Law, that it is no uncertain terms, the 1901 Constitution of Alabama. So that's basically what you're asking them, to show their delegation of authority. And then they want to see, they're going to also want to see the case as well to see if they violated due process of law. And if they did, then they're going to make them dismiss the case, because violation of due process of law is violation of law of the land. Law of the land automatically means due process of law, right? And that's what we see. Law of the land, due process of law. Constitution is due process of law. So did they help y'all, brother?
Yeah, you just showed a lot. That was, man, that's cold right there.
What state you in?
I'm in Michigan, bro. I'm in Detroit.
So go to the state of Michigan Constitution, and basically you can go in there and pull out certain things. And then I want you to go to the state of Michigan civil remedies and look up quo warranto. It might be called extraordinary remedies as well. So they kind of hide it, but just go look for those and then look up quo warranto, look up prohibition or mandamus. You can do any one of those three, or declaratory relief. Any one of those four do the same thing. Declaratory relief is going to make sure it's going to basically set the judgment according to the Constitution. But you have to make sure that you are asking the right questions about the Constitution and the statutes involved. Mandamus is basically you on behalf of the people telling the judge so
You was going out, man. I couldn't hear nothing.
Yeah. I think he went out on everybody's side.
What's the last thing y'all heard?
Mandamus.
Okay, so I said you can do a writ of mandamus. And mandamus is basically a higher court, meaning the people bringing it in about the laws on how the due process of law, how to adjudicate within that court. So that's what that means.
Okay.
Then you got injunction and prohibition, which is like pretty much a restraining order. All these are the people's remedies. Anything else is on the civil form of remedies, meaning like corporations. Remember, by the 14th Amendment, corporations have the right to sue and to be sued as well, according to by the Constitution. Anybody else got any more questions?
No, for my little question, I'm gonna have to tap in and ask you later. But this class was dope, though. I think I ain't gonna put nobody on blast, but I'm gonna tap in. Don't give you a little bit more insight on the class from people that I had invited.
All right. What I would like for everybody to do, since do anybody got anything else they want to say? All right. Well, first and foremost, it's always an open invitation to join Morris National Republic of Peace and to claim your nationality and citizenship, your private nationality and citizenship with us as well. We definitely would be glad to have anybody, especially if your heart and mind is in the right place. There are certain procedures and there are things that you will have to go through to fully become a member of it. But I went through it. I wasn't exempt, and neither are you. And I'm the president of it. But I made sure that I went through it just so I'm just the type of person believe like if you want somebody to do something, then you got to do it yourself first. So if y'all out here selling products or whatever, and I think it would be best to buy your product first if you feel like others should buy it too. Buy you, buy yourself first, buy something from you first, or always do the step first before you ask anybody else to do or follow. Otherwise, you really can't ask anybody to do it if you don't do it. So, but I really ask everybody to really just give a form of feedback. You can either do it through email, tag me on Facebook. If you got us on Instagram, Morris National Republic of Peace. Just give us some feedback and on the class, and also invite somebody else with you next time. But that'll end our class, and I hope every last one of y'all enjoyed it. I appreciate y'all time.
I had another question.
Go ahead.
You sending out the recordings to everybody that's in the email separate, like you gonna keep, or you want like you gonna send it to me, and then I send it to them. How you
Yeah.
gonna do that?
Yeah, like so this recording, anybody that gets this recording is to the public, so you can get it to anybody you want to. I don't care. I will add it.
That's what
Catch that.
Yeah.
All righty then, man. I appreciate y'all time, man. So y'all definitely I'll see y'all the beginning of August, the first Wednesday in August. Peace, love, and law.
Peace, love.